And hello YouTube, this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'm today with a brand new video for Gaming with GS, and today we're here on Guild Wars 2. I want to give you guys another easy gold trick. This is our 19th video in the 2.0 series, and this method is very similar to the number 20 trick in the 1.0 series that has to do with high level areas. But before I go into all of that, how they relate, and before I go into the method, as you've already noticed from the intro, this does have to do with Orr and the temples in Orr. But I feel like there's really interesting story and lore behind this, and I do want to share it with you because I think a lot of new players and a lot of people who tend to rush through the game or tend to play the game without really paying attention to much of the dialogue don't really know why Orr looks the way it does or why these temples are. I know when I first started playing the game, I sure didn't know what the point of these temples were and why they were there and why we should even bother with them. So if you don't care about the lore and you just want to get straight to the method of making gold, go ahead and click the annotation on screen right now. If not, it'll just be about a minute or two where I explain to you the story of Orr, because it's really fascinating and interesting, and it's a nice little piece to add to the video. Now, Orr didn't always look as it does today. In fact, this was actually a land that was very vibrant and proud, and this was where the 6 gods, which are worshipped by the humans, they once lived there in the capital city of Arra. Now, the citizens in that area a long time ago, they protected the land and the structures in it, but unfortunately, even with all of that, they were still unable to avoid the conflict with the inevitable wars that were to come. Now, Ascalon, Orr, and Krita, there was a time when these 3 regions of the world were at war with one another. And as the guild wars raged on, soon the Char would also become involved too. Now, when the Char took over Ascalon in the 3rd guild war, Orr was next, so they were going to take over Orr next after Ascalon, because that was next in line. Unable to defend the land, though, as many Orians started making armies and whatnot. And remember, this was a land that was, very beautiful and everything. Like, there was capital cities around, there were armies around, they were gathering armies to protect their land, But unfortunately, the Char were ready to take over, and even with the Orian armies, they still weren't able to defend the land. But it came to a point where one of the royal advisors, by the name of Vizier Kilbran, took it upon himself to use one of the lost scrolls with an ancient arcane power to once and for all destroy not only the invading Char, but also destroying Orr itself. Now, this massive arcane explosion was known as the Cataclysm, and this basically sunk Orr under complete water, which named the sea that it sunk in as the Sea of Sorrows, which we can also see on the map. However, since Zaitan lies under Orr as well, and when he awoke, much of the sunken nation was brought back to the surface along with the army, the Risen. And this is how we know Orr as today. What you're seeing Orr as today in the game is basically after it's been underwater for years and years, and Zaitan's finally brought it up with its army, the Risen. And here's where these temples come into play and the statues come into play. Now, with them being the holy structures of the gods that many had worshipped, of course you'd expect your task to be to keep control of them, right? And to keep them away from the enemies. And that's exactly what your goal is. Now, if you remember in our 20th gold guide in the 1.0 series, we talked a lot about events. We talked a lot about the events you can do in Cursed Shore. We talked about events you could do in Malkor's Leap, Straits of Devastation. Heck, even events that you could do in Frost Gorge Sound and a lot of the high level areas. By completing events, you basically get what's called map participation, and you get map bonus rewards. As you see, map bonuses here for this week are Armored Scales. If we go down to Cursed Shore, we get Vicious Fangs, right? And that's sort of what the idea was, to do a ton of events so you can get these bonuses. However, in the region of Orr, you can actually get a lot more loot. In fact, do you know how when you do world bosses, you get a large chest? Well, in Orr, there are several of these temples which are after the 6 gods. If we scroll down here to the Cursed Shore, we have the Temple of Grenth here. We also have the Temple of Melandru here. Then in Malkor's Leap, we have the Temple of Dwayna. Here is the Temple of Lissa. And then we have the Temple of Balthasar. Now, each of these temples have associated events to them. Some of these events are longer than others. There's a multitude of events chained together, though. And if you complete these events, you actually get, just like in the world bosses, you get a big chest that has loot in it. So you should definitely add these temples to your world boss trains if you're doing world bosses. Do these temples as well, because not only do they give you the big chest, but they also give you champion bags. A lot of these little events that you're going to be doing when the event starts, as you can tell on the map right now, they're basically uncontested. But every hour or every hour and a half or so, I don't exactly know the exact time, but the more you do this, the more you get an idea of how many times this respawns. But there's going to be several event chains happening that will basically put a cross on the waypoint and a cross swords on the temple, and that's how you'll know when it's contested. Now, when it's contested, you can actually do these events. Sometimes they're escort missions, defense missions, sometimes they're killing champions, sometimes they're killing legendary bosses, and these things can give you champion bags, they can give you the big world chest like you get from world bosses, and these are on a daily reset. So just like world bosses are on a daily reset, these are on a daily reset as well. However, in the background footage, you should see me doing the Temple of Duena, which is a really good one to do, mainly because you have a chance of getting some very rare and valuable items that are part of a very rare collection called the Acolyte of Duena. Now, the Acolyte of Duena is basically a rare collection where you have to collect 4 types of, well, actually 6 collection items. Now, 4 of these collection items are rare drops, and you can get these from the Temple of Duena temple events. Now, some of these items sell for over 400, over 600 gold. Some of them sell for up to 100 gold, over 50 gold. If you happen to get some of these items, you are well worth your time doing those events. You will get a ton of gold. It's basically like getting a Black Lion skin. So, some pretty valuable items you can get out of the Temple of Duena events and completing that temple. However, if you're looking for the temple that gives you the most amount of loot, I would definitely recommend you to do the Temple of Grenth, which is down in the southwest region of the Cursed Shore, because that one tends to have a lot of additional mobs spawning, and it tends to scale based off of how many people you have. So you have tons of people, you'll get tons of mobs, and you can just tag stuff, and as you tag and kill these things, you'll get tons of loot. But like I said, any of these temples give you a lot of loot. You can do the Temple of Balthasar, you can do the Lissa one, Melandru, Duena, or the Grenth one, and you still get a pretty good amount of loot. You get a guaranteed rare, just like the world bosses give you. Now, in the description, I will leave a link on the wiki that gives you the table of the temples that are available for you to complete, and it'll tell you where they are, and it'll tell you what text to look for on the right side of your map when you're waiting for these temples to begin. You can either have, there are some people that do these every day, and some of your guild members may know about it, so if they're doing it, they can let you know. If you just hang out in some of the high level areas, you might see it yourself, but in the description, you'll see the wiki page to all the temples you can do, and it'll tell you the location and when they basically spawn, to what to look for, and they tell you the events as well, so hopefully you'll find that helpful and useful too. So that's kind of the video that I wanted to cover today, and sort of give you an idea of how you can take even more advantage of some of the PvE content. Some of these temples are really fun to do. I've been doing them for the past week or so, and I haven't gotten some of the rare drops yet that sell for like 100, 200 gold, but I have gotten a really good amount of rare items. I've gotten a good amount of loot from it, and I've also enjoyed doing them quite a bit since I've really never done them before that much, and they can be pretty fun to do. There's also a lot of lore and story in these events, so they can be fun to do if you're into the lore, into the story, you want to learn more about these 6 gods and how each of them is related to like different people. I know the Duena event has like a story with a lover or with someone who's really obsessed with her or whatnot. I can't exactly remember the storyline right now because I usually just skip the dialogue always, but some pretty interesting lore, some pretty interesting loot, and you can make some good money out of it. And on top of that, since you're completing a ton of events through these temple chains, you can basically get map bonus rewards on top of that even too. So lots of rewards here, lots of gold here, and if you haven't been doing these temples, go out and do these temples because they can actually box to reward you. And hopefully you found this helpful, hopefully you found this informative, and hopefully you add this to your daily rotation to farm for some gold. Obviously not as good as some other gold guides that we have, but it's something to add to your gold making methods if you're tired of some of the other ones. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave it on the comment box down below. Definitely down there answering any questions you have. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go and subscribe. Plenty of other gold guides on the channel, plenty of other Guild Wars 2 content and lore on the channel as well, and more to come in the future too. If you like this video or like them other videos, you can always donate $8 to my Patreon page. Anything as low as that is always very helpful and very much appreciated. All you gotta do is click the card in the top right hand corner of the screen and it'll bring you to the page. I also have a tutorials channel, vlogging channel, advice channel, and a music channel. You want to check those out, links in the description as well as on the end card. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching as always, and this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'll be back soon. Don't go anywhere.